Good morning, everybody. Matthew from Captive Audience Comics here. Today we wanted to talk to you about a 6-month saga we had with CBCS that started as probably somebody who didn't bother to actually check what we asked about, and ended up turning into a cover-up when they realized that they had screwed up. And then that spiraled into an ongoing multi-month lie, 3 or 4 month lie that we eventually sort of forced them to expose. And we're going to walk you through that because it's a little bit of a, cautionary tale, but also why documentation when you're dealing with these grading companies around non-standard, submissions is so important. And CBCS still has not done right by us. We've done right by the customer, but CBCS has not done right by us as the company. And they still sort of really failing to take responsibility. They're still trying to couching it, oh, sorry, somebody was misinformed. No, that somebody was lying to us for months. It might have started as they were misinformed, although my suspicion is they just didn't do their job. So, background story. Customer comes to us with a copy of Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, #1, first print, signed by Eastman and Laird, with a sketch by Eastman and Laird. So Eastman signed it, sketched it, and Laird signed it and sketched it. Now, it was already a CGC graded slab, but it was before they were doing signature verification with JSA. Okay, so it was like a blue label with like a note on it saying signature on inside cover. So and it doesn't look like it was ever cleaned and pressed. So customer comes to us and says, hey, now that this is, they have JSA and everything else, I'm thinking about getting my book cracked, pressed, and regraded and getting the signatures authenticated because it's a pretty valuable book. In fact, with the sketches, from what we could tell on the census, it's actually a one-of-one book. To have a signature by both Eastman and Laird and a sketch by Eastman and Laird certified would make it a one-of-one if it was certified. Okay. Now, I already suspected that JSA would not authenticate the sketches because they're currently not doing that. But I contacted JSA directly, gave them the information, and I said, listen, the customer's preference is to keep this with CGC. He wants the signatures authenticated and the sketch is authenticated. Will you authenticate the sketch with the signature? And JSA, as we expected, said, no, we'll verify the signatures, but we won't verify the sketches. Okay, so fine. We thought that. So then customer said, well, CBCS, because CBCS will authenticate sketches and artwork. So I contacted Becket, and same thing. I said, here's what I have. I have signatures and a sketch, and I want the label to say signature and sketch by Eastman, signature and sketch by Laird. Okay, so to make it clear that the sketches were by each artist. And initially, when I contacted them directly, they were like, well, no, we don't do that. And then I wrote back and I said, well, the information on CBCS's website says that you will, and I just want confirmation of how the label's going to be, because if we do send it through you guys, it's really important how the label's going to read, because that's, sort of affects the aftermarket value. They wrote back and said, oh, you're sending it through CBCS? Yes, we will authenticate the signatures and the sketches. So this information came from Becket directly. So then I contact CBCS and I say, before I submit this book, I want confirmation of how the label will be printed. It needs to be printed signature and sketch by Eastman and signature and sketch by Laird. Will that be how the label's printed? Oh, yes, absolutely. That's how it'll be done. Fantastic. We send the book off. 3 months later, because it takes forever at CBCS to do anything. 3 months later, book comes back. And the book says, verified signatures, Eastman and Laird, both on interior cover. Perfect. Sketches on interior cover. Didn't verify the sketches. So I contact CBCS and I'm like, hey, this is wrong. Here's the email chain. Here's the verification that you guys said you're going to do this. It's wrong. I need to send, you guys got to take this back, fix the label. The guy's like, oh yeah, sorry, no problem, whatever. We'll ship it back to us and we'll take care of it. It takes me a few weeks for them to give me a shipping label. There's like, I don't know, it takes 4 or 5 emails before they'll send me a shipping label. Finally get the shipping label, send it back. Now it gets back there. I know it's back there because I got tracking with verified signatures. And it's sitting there, not doing anything. So I emailed the rep and I'm like, okay, you have the book. The book is there. What's going on? And he's like, okay, yeah, no, we've received it. We're just waiting to get it enrolled in the system, blah, blah, blah. And then I start not getting responses back. So I start emailing the rep like every 2 days. And I'm like, oh, it's been 14 days since I've had a response. It's been 16 days since I've had a response. It's been 18 days since I've had a response. Month goes by, month and a half goes by, no answer. So then what I have to start doing is every time CBCS posts a social media post, I comment on their post and I say, please have Anthony from sales contact his customer regarding the book that we've submitted that they need to fix. They're not responding about. Every post, anything they post, I comment on every single one. I get a response back finally. Oh, we're reaching out with Anthony. He's going to be in touch. And so he finally gets in touch and he's like, oh, yep, it's, I've checked with the guys. Everything's going to be great. Yeah, we're taking care of it. Okay, fine. Still no answer. Still no answer. Now it finally shows up in the system. These things happen. Then I get, and then I'm still not really getting an answer. So then again, I go back to every few days. It's been X amount of time. It's been X amount of time. It's been X amount of time. Then I get a notice that I have a new sales rep for my account. And I won't say who this new guy is because, frankly, he inherited a bad situation. But he basically is like, hey, if you have any questions, I'm your new rep, blah, blah, blah. And I write back and I say, well, I do have a question. I have a client's book that's been there. It's been 6 months trying to fix, and CBCS somehow can't seem to fix this problem. And I send him the email chain, the 6-month email chain of hundreds of emails, because I have everything documented. And he writes back and he says, oh, well, apparently they were misinformed. The grading team says, oh, no, actually it's correct. That's how it's supposed to be. And somebody was misinformed. I'm like, misinformed? So when the guy told me he went and he talked to them and they verified that's how it would be, that was misinformation from the people that actually do the work. People doing the work didn't know how to do their jobs. Or more likely is it that he told me he went and he checked with them and never did. And just told me what he thought I wanted to hear. Well, I don't really know, blah, blah, blah. It was misinformation. I'll make sure I tell the team that they were misinformed. Oh, thanks. So my customer who only went with CBCS because they said they would do the work just eats this because of mistakes you guys made, and you'll inform your team. We never would have gone with CBCS if they had told us at the start. We would have just gone with CGC and had the same thing. We would have had the verified signatures and it would have said sketches. Why would we have gone with CBCS? We could have had JSA do it. So then the guy writes back, and now you can tell he's been going through my email chain because he finds the email from Becket that says, no, we won't do that. He writes back and says, oh, well, actually, you were told in February that they wouldn't do that. And of course, I have meticulous records. So I write back and I say, well, actually, the very email after that, the next day from Becket says, please disregard that email because through CBCS, yes, we will do that. And there's like a few days go by with no response. And then he writes back and it's like, oh, okay, I see that now. Yeah, we'll inform them that that was wrong. So the sales rep's going to inform Becket that they were wrong about how they would authenticate. So, you know what they say, if it walks like a duck and it talks like a duck, it's probably a duck. CBCS never bothered to check anything, in my opinion. And just told us what we wanted to hear to make us go away, and didn't think that I would spend 6 months hounding them around this. By the way, never offered to refund the grading costs for a very expensive book because they could not perform the service that they said they would do. No, never offered to do that. Never offered to credit my account. Never offered anything for the client who has spent 6 months. Luckily, the client has been very understanding that this is sort of outside of my control, and it's a personal book. It's not a book they've been, waiting on trying to sell. So, I've spent a lot of time talking about CBCS. I think their grading is pretty accurate, and I like their cases. And I think they get a bum rap a lot of times in the grading market. But it is cases like this which will just drive people away from CBCS. So the moral of this story is keep very good records of all your communications whenever there's any kind of non-standard submission. And even then, CBCS might still screw you over. So I can't prove that it was an outright lie after between 3 months and 6 months. There's no way for me to prove that. But I have a very strong suspicion that once they figured out that they got caught for not doing their due diligence, that they just tried to cover it up, hoping I would go away. So, sorry, CBCS 6 month saga that turned from a sales rep not doing their job to a cover up full of lies and an eventual admission that it was wrong, but still not taking responsibility. So do with that what you will, and proceed with caution. Now, there's the book. You can see, I don't know if the camera's going to pick it up, but there you go. So, signatures are verified, sketches are not. It's unfortunate. That's the way that it is. So if we have any other weird stuff like this come up, we will we'll share with you guys, because the only way they're going to change is if we bring these things out into the light and we share them. Otherwise, nothing's ever going to happen. All right, have a great day, guys. See you in the next one. Ciao.